Welcome, my friends, to a new episode of TOEFL ITP Insider. And in this episode, we're going to talk about coordinate connectors. So let's see how we're going to deal with coordinate connectors in the TOEFL ITP exam. Well, first, what are coordinate connectors? Well, coordinate connectors are used in English language to connect two clauses. And when I say a clause, I mean by this a subject and a verb. So two clauses means subject and a verb, and in the middle, a coordinate connector. And the connectors we're talking about in this episode are actually 5. We're talking about but, we're talking about yet, we're talking about or, we're talking about and we're talking about so. Now let's have a look at some examples to clarify how coordinate connectors work in English language. And the first example is Jack is playing and Mustafa is studying. So when we look at Jack is playing, that's the first clause. I've got Jack is a subject, is a verb, and then we have this comma, and then we have the coordinate connector and, followed by subject and a verb. Mustafa is a subject, is studying is a verb. Lovely. Right, another example. Ali is funny, but Mustafa is serious. Okay, so we've got here Ali is a subject, is a verb, and then we have, again, the comma, and then we have the coordinate connector but, then we have also subject and verb. Mustafa is a subject, is a verb. Now, a third example. Jack must review the list or I will do it. So, Jack is a subject, must review is a verb, and then we have comma, and a coordinate connector or, and then we have subject and verb. I is a subject, will do is a verb. Another example. Tom arrived late, so Lisa was angry. Tom arrived late, so Lisa was angry. So we've got Tom is a subject, arrived is a verb, then we have a comma, coordinate connector, and we've got Lisa is a subject, I've got was is a verb. And another example. Hussein didn't study, yet he managed to pass the exam. So Hussein is a subject, didn't study is a verb, then we've got the comma, and we've got yet is a coordinate connector, and then he is a subject, managed is a verb. It is obvious now that when we use those 5 coordinate connectors, we need subject, verb, comma, coordinate connector, subject, verb. Now let's see how we can be asked about this in the TOEFL ITP exam. Let's check together. And we've got here an MCQ, a multiple choice question, and it says, government funding expires on December the 8th. The government will shut down unless an agreement is made. And then we have 4 options. Then, so, later, and next. So, let's analyze it. Government funding, that's a subject. And then we have expires, that's a verb. Good. So the first clause is okay. Now, we also have a comma. Good. Now let's look at the second clause. The government, that's a subject, will shut down, that's a verb. Then what we need is a coordinate connector, because we've got a clause, and we've got this kind of comma. So then, that's not a connector. So, that's a coordinate connector. That's a good answer. Later, that's not a connector. Next, that's not a connector. So the only good answer here is B. Now, let's read this sentence together. Bad animals and snakes started to climb up, but broke off the rope. Now, let's analyze it. So we've got bad animals and snakes, that's a subject. They've got started, good, that's a verb. And then we've got a comma, lovely. Then a coordinate connector, but, great. Then what do we expect after but? We expect a clause. And a clause is made of what? subject and verb. Then directly after but, we've got broke off. That's a verb. So this sentence is inaccurate because the second clause lacks a subject. A good answer will be, bad animals and snakes started to climb up, but the man broke off the rope. Now let's look at another sentence. And we've got here, together they have more money than Bill Gates, comma, they exploit people here and overseas. So when we analyze it, what do we have? We've got they, that's the subject in the first clause. We've got have, that's a verb. And then we've got comma. After the comma, what do we have? We've got they, that's the subject. We've got exploit, that's a verb. So wait a minute, we've got two clauses, but no connector. That's a problem. That's a problem. So this sentence lacks a coordinate connector. Now, a correct answer would be, together they have more money than Bill Gates, yet they exploit people here and overseas. Now, another sentence. Let's read it together. Or you can just follow me. I can tell you where to go. So we've got or, that's a coordinate connector. And then we have you is a subject, can follow is a verb. And then we have comma, and then we have I is a subject, and can tell is a verb. But wait a minute, two clauses, nothing in between. Why? It's because the coordinate connector is put at the very beginning while it's supposed to be in the middle to link these two clauses together. Now, the correct sentence is, I can tell you where to go, or you can just follow me. So my friends, to wrap up, we talked about 5 coordinate connectors. We talked about but, yet, so, or, and. And we said the normal structure for a coordinate connector is to have a clause, comma, coordinate connector, and a clause. And when I say a clause, I mean a subject and a verb. Thank you so much for watching this episode, my friends, and see you again in another episode of TOEFL ITP Insider. Bye-bye.